But now let me ask you this. Let's look at the year 2050, just arbitrary. What is your vision of how cancer diagnosis and therapy should be far off into the future, 2050, let's say?
You know the program 60 Minutes? A CBS program 60 Minutes. Their producers are very interested in the work I'm doing also, and asked me the exact same question. Dr. Raza, imagine a patient comes into your clinic in 2050. What will that patient look like, and what are you going to do? So you're asking a very good question, and to answer you, I have something to show you, show and tell, which is kept in my batwa. This little chip. It's called an M chip, which is already approved by the FDA in America, and it was developed by my colleague at Columbia, a biomedical engineer, Professor Sam Sear. And the idea, Pervez, is that we can put a drop of blood in this hole here, and it will travel through these microfluidic channels and react with an antigen that we have put in. And this particular chip is now testing for PSA, the prostate specific antigen, which men need to check if they have a problem with it. So this chip then can be inserted into literally a telephone like device, and it will read the PSA level, and men can sit at home and do it 3 times a day if they want, or once a month if they want, and they can keep track of what's happening to the prostate cancer, the recurrence, or any kind of anxiety they have. Except we work together. I'm working with the biomedical engineers. Sam and I are mentoring a couple of PhD students who are very smart, who are working on this kind of a device. It's like a tiny little chip, I don't know if you can see it or not, which can be inserted under the skin to trap the first cell. And that, if there are enough, and then it's under the skin, so you pass a little sonic device, like an ultrasound, built into a telephone-like thing. You just pass it to see how many giant cells or cancer cells have been trapped in here, and you can extract those. So we hope that in 2050, there will be no need to be treating diseases, because we will be preempting disease by continuous monitoring of the human body like it's a machine. You don't do MRI, you don't do mammograms and colonoscopies and PSA tests once a year. Rather, you continuously monitor and keep generating data that get collected into an iCloud with trillions and petabytes of information that are continuously being analyzed for patterns by AI, and the new technology that is emerging, which I don't even know what it's going to be. All the virtual realities and augmented realities, this is all going to play a role in how we ultimately monitor the earliest perturbations that are caused by some malfunctioning in an organ, and try to fix it right there and then to prevent it from spiraling out of control. So in 2050, we shall be preventive, proactive, participatory kind of practice of medicine.
Okay, so the future will be what it will be. But now I have a practical question to ask of you, Azra. There are 10 different kinds of cancer. There's prostate cancer, there's breast cancer, there's colon cancer, there's lung cancer, this, that, and so forth. Now, what's an ordinary person living today in 2021 supposed to do? How many different cancers should he or she get tested for? We don't want to spend all our lives just getting tested, and some of those tests are very, very intrusive.
Okay, well, that's a practically very good question, because everyone is concerned about preempting cancer, and this is one of my most, I would say, powerful criticism of the field, that we are able to monitor for only 5 types of cancers right now. We can do mammograms, pap smears, colonoscopies, and PSA. And then for high-risk patients with smoking history and lung disease, we can do MRIs or CAT scans to look for tumors once a year. And the problem is we are looking at someone who has a smoking history in their lungs, while they may get cancer in their ovaries, for example. So the point is that it's pathetic what we do. I just want to end with one statistic before telling you what you should be doing as a healthy individual who's at risk of cancer, or who may not be at risk but who's concerned about developing cancer. Let's say we do 30 million tests for monitoring these 5 types of cancers in America today. A good 9 million of them will show something. But let's say you find some lump or some shadow on an MRI, or you find a little growth in colonoscopy. That doesn't prove it's cancer. Now you have to biopsy it, right? So out of 30 million, 9 million show something suspicious. Out of those 9 million, when you biopsy 9 million, only 240,000 cancers are identified. So currently, with these 5 monitoring techniques, we spend $27 billion on these screening measures to find 240,000 cancers. It's so inefficient. So currently the idea is multi-cancer early detection, MCED approach, which is that we take 10 cc's of blood from your vein and we put it through analysis we put the plasma through an analysis for pieces of DNA that are thrown out by or ejected by cancer cells into the blood. And those pieces of DNA, if they are coming from a tumor, they may contain a particular mutation specific to that tumor. We recognize it and we say, oh, this person's blood is already showing, some mutated pieces of DNA that are typical for, say, pancreatic cancer. So let's start scanning pancreas to find cancer. And this kind of liquid biopsy is now, reaching almost FDA approval. Until that happens, which can look for 50 different types of cancers from 10 cc's of blood, but its efficiency again is quite low. It can find most of the advanced cancers of stage 3 and 4, but for stage 1 and 2, it's only 30% of the patients who will be detected even by these sophisticated measures right now, because not enough pieces of DNA are shed into the blood to be picked up by the early cancers. So what can you do right now? You should simply follow the 5 screening tests that I described. If you are a man, you should definitely be looking for, PSA, and if you are a smoker, you should be getting checked out that your lungs are healthy. But that's about all we can do right now.
Azra, it's been an absolute delight to speak with you. There's so much that people have learned from you. You're doing such an incredible job at teaching America. And of course, all those advances in oncology, in cancer treatment, all that will ultimately come back here in Pakistan as well, but all over the globe. So thanks very much for your time, and all power to you.
Thank you so much, Pervez. I have been a big fan of yours, as you know, invited you to Chicago and Harvey, and I really enjoyed the mehfil that you did with us. And since then, we have remained friends, even though we have not met. We have regularly communicated through email, etc. So allow me to thank you and the audience who have been listening to us. I want to end with just one little thing from Emily Dickinson, and I hope it will be true. A word is dead when it is said, some say. I say it begins to live that day. Let's hope that we'll be able to prevent cancer from even starting very soon. Thank you, Pervez.